So next map, gentlemen, is the map that Grinch was talking about. It is Eastwoods.
Don't y'all love the cornfield on Eastwoods?
And let's have Alex start on this one.
Okay, so this is another one of those maps where,
We don't play a lot.
first of all, yeah, we don't play it a lot, but it's also a lot more fun for one side than the other. Miller's, even though when we pre-ranked it, we all said it's bad as Union. I actually don't hate it as Union either. But this map is not fun as Union because it's a stupid three flag map, and I just don't like three flag maps. Very often, there's very few that are truly great to play. I mean, we're about to get the one right after this, but I don't like this map as Union, and I don't think it's the greatest map in the world as CSA either. I'd probably put it at a C. It's just now, let me tell you this: the same things that make Miller's fun is also kind of there in Eastwoods. Ironically, since we're just mixing them up, because you tend to not be able to see shit. And I mean, Lord, was it yesterday where we were walking through Eastwoods and then we literally got wiped?
That was a Saturday.
Saturday, I mean, we just completely got.
Also, to be fair, there were extenuating circumstances that led to us getting wiped on the left.
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, it just happens, right? It happens on maps where you can't see much, as you normally can. Everyone can get caught with their pants down. That can happen on the woods maps, but I don't like if I was to rank all the wood maps, I'd put Eastwoods closer to the bottom. I'm not a huge fan of it. So
Yep.
I would rank this as a C tier. It's an okay map.
And let's have Wilkes offer
Yeah,
up his opinions.
I will try to keep this relatively more brief than I have been so far. Eastwoods, I love this attack as CSA. You get to attack through the woods, which is always fun, as Alex was pointing out, and as I mentioned on Miller's. What makes the woods maps fun is that it is the unpredictability, the randomness, the surprise factor that really adds to my experience playing woods maps. It's about the reaction time and the drill and the discipline of the individual units and the ability of the unit leaders to stay consolidated or at least knowledgeable about where their friendlies are around the map in order to coordinate pushes or defenses if needed. Now, this map takes a huge hit from the Union perspective because they have 3 regiments on a defense map. Now, unlike the map that's coming up next, which is Nico, where the CSA has 3 on defense, well, Nico, you're in an open field, and I'm not going to dive too heavily into Nico, but in the woods, you need to be able to have a frontage to meet the enemy, and you need to be able to consolidate. And without the ability to spawn in an entire another regiment that the CSA has on the Union, it does muddy the waters. I put this at a tier from a CSA perspective and a D tier from a USA perspective. So, well, I probably put it at a C tier from a USA perspective, because I do love woods maps regardless, and I feel like the Union can win this. They just don't do it a lot. Anyway. I'll put this at a B tier.
All right. Grinch, do you want to go next, or?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, back to what I was saying about Miller's, I love the woods combat, but in contrast, I'm not a fan of corn combat. But in woods combat, I know a guy who has old eagle eyes. He can see anything.
Macabre.
So usually, I know.
Macabre.
So usually on Eastwoods, when we play in events, it's not a problem spotting enemies, firing at them, doing damage. But yeah, that surprise factor is still there, but you have more vision. You can see them from farther away, potentially concealing yourselves from them. So you might see them, but they probably don't see you. So you could really, the flanking maneuvers you can pull on that map are second to none, almost, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
Especially on that right side for CSA, you can
Yeah.
Mhm.
really get up behind the Union.
Yeah, but in my opinion, I'm going to give it a B because Union, it's not the funnest map in the world, but I don't even think that's a word, is it? Funnest?
Funnest? It is now.
All right.
Mm.
Anyways, as I was saying, it's fun. A CSA, lots of opportunities that you could really take advantage of, but Union could be a different story, but they still can win this map. But I'm going to give it an overall of a B.
All right. Personally, I'm coming at this at a perspective of it's pretty fun as CSA. I'd put it at a CSA B, and I would say it's a Union D, leaning to an F. But I'll give you my reasons. I think a lot of this map comes down to what Wilk said of having the 3 companies, but it's also the fact that I feel like a lot of the Union meta on this map is still to this day very unknown. I've played this map a lot in Pubby, and it is definitely a lot more fun playing this in events than it is playing it in Pubby, because in Pubby, this is a fucking awful map to play as Union. It is probably worse than Hookers by a country mile. There is several things you can do as Union on this map. Like, you can go out in the open fields by the defilade by the house and take cover and shoot into the woods if you want. You can, like we did during HTC, you can go into the cornfield and the stone wall and stand there if you want. There's a lot of opportunities you can do as the Union. I just feel like the meta of knowing exactly what the correct thing to do on this map as Union is still to this day very muddy.
Yeah, and that leads to a lot of coordination issues.
Yeah.
From a Union perspective.
So I'm probably going to, and I'm going to be honest, I feel like the Union experience can become a C tier. When we played that map at HTC, it felt like we were playing a Conquest map or something like that. It did not feel like we were playing Eastwoods, simply because where we were placed.
And I love Conquest and Contingents.
Oh yes.
And what's really funny is the Conquest version of that map. If I remember, if I'm remembering it correctly, it's fun as hell.
It's smokestacks.
Oh, really? Is that smokestack?
Yes, Eastwoods is smokestacks.
Isn't that the one where it's like the 2 spawns are in the woods, and then there's 1 point on top and 1 point on bottom, and then 1 off in the fuck all middle of nowhere?
Yeah.
It's the one where I led. Yeah.
It is.
It's fun as hell.
Conquest map. It is the one of the points. I believe it is A. C point is
if you get
at
if
the
you,
Eastwood skirmish cornfield.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
A point is way off and fuck off nowhere by Mama's graveyard.
If you get rid of the A point, it's actually
It's
one
like
of
how
the
we
most fun
when
Conquest maps.
Yes.
When we
Because it's
played
woods
it
combat on
exactly.
an even playing field.
When we played it like we did at HTC, it's a ton of fun. But yeah, I'm gonna say Eastwoods for me. I want to put it at a D tier. But I can't bring myself to do it, so I'm gonna put it at C tier.
There's no way that y'all are gonna rank a woods map in War of Rights as a D tier.
Oh, there is
I
one
didn't,
coming
so I
up
said it was
that
D tier.
that I definitely will rank at a D tier.
There's a woods map and you will rank it at D tier.
Oh yeah. So let's go through the scores real quick. We have
Wilkes B, Alex C, Gene C, Grinch B.
all right, another impasse. I feel like we can all agree that it is more of a C than a B.
No,
No.
absolutely not. And I will stand and die on this fence. I have a ton of fun as Union. I have a ton of fun as CSA on this map. More so CSA, but you can still absolutely have a blast as Union.
All right. We will
And
put
even if you lose as Union, which you probably will, because no one knows the Union meta, or the meta is always changing, and
as much as Alex and I disagree, we will put this as a overall B score for
Bottom of the B tier.
yeah.
I can get behind that.
Okay.
Bottom B tier. Yeah.
Bottom D tier. Bottom B tier.
B.
And moving on to a very exciting map. Nicodemus Hill. And if y'all don't mind, I would like to open on that.
This might be your favorite map in...
This is probably one of my favorite maps in the entire game. It is close between a S and A tier. I don't know where I would go, but it is... A lot of people feel like playing Union on this map is trash. I strongly disagree. I feel like... and also...
what flag spawn you're playing at. If you're playing 10 seconds.
It does depend on the flag timer.
Seconds, it's fun.
But it also depends on... I feel like we have a lot more fun playing this on EU than we do on NA. And well,
from Union,
yeah. I mean, I think we also don't play this a lot as Union overall as HL. We did on HTC, right? TSA, yeah. But anyways, to get back to it, it is a ton of fun because of how I don't even know how to explain it. It's just something about holding that stone wall as a CSA, having to switch to the orchard if they full send the orchard, or you don't even do that. You just decide to turtle behind the hill and volley them. There's so many things you can do on this map. You can stay by the stone wall. You could fight them in the orchard. You can get hit by Union Arty, and Union can get hit by CSA Arty pretty damn well too. It's an Arty heaven map. It's so much fun fighting in the woods too. You can even get to a pretty good position in the woods by the snake fence on their side of almost their spawn, close to their artillery. You can't stay there for long, but you can stand there and shoot. The map allows you to, which I think is really, really awesome. Going from our Union perspective view, sure, it is not as much fun as playing as CSA because you have to cross an open field if you're deciding to go to the orchard, or you have to go through a woods map on the Union left and attack the stone wall, which can be fun if it's a fun and fair fight. But if you get absolutely rained on by their volleys, you won't even reach the stone wall. It definitely depends. A lot of it also comes down to coordination. You can blunder as both sides like most maps. There's not many maps where you can't blunder on, but you know what I mean, right? It's if you decide to go left or right, you gotta be consolidated and agree on a plan. And yeah, I don't know. I would put this at a... It's going to be my first time saying I'm going to put this at an S tier for me personally. Alex, what do you think?
So, I also love this map, and I really think if everyone else also puts a love for this map, it really goes to show how much we like this map because we haven't even won it this year.
Yeah.
We... Okay, I see. Well, now you're just changing it now. But, now Wilkes is changing. But, this map, with the CSA, the biggest issue tends to be who's on Cav.
Yeah.
If your Cav regiment does not pull their weight, you will lose. And that's just how it is. And it's unfortunate, but it's just how it is. With the Union, it's okay. I actually understand why the Union don't like attacking this map. Like, they tend to win. I usually see the Union win more often.
Almost always win.
But this, it's more. I think it's more fun to play as the CSA than as the Union, even though you lose all the time. Although we still haven't won as the Union this year.
Yeah.
But there's some fun when the Union manages to take parts of the houses. Again, it's Arty heaven. Both Arty tend to just completely flatten both sides. I enjoy this map. And I'm with John. I'd probably put it in A. I don't know if I'd put it at S tier. That's a very high praise, and I don't think the Union experience is fun enough for it at S tier. And Wilkes has changed all his rankings in the middle of me talking, so I think he probably has something to say.
Well, unless Grant, I would like to close personally.
Okay. Well, for me personally, I love Nicodemus Hill. Now, Nico. Very fun to play as a CSA. Like Alex said, if the cavalry doesn't pull their weight, you're going to lose. But I think if the Cav does, then that ticket advantage for the USA really doesn't matter as much. And if the arty's on point, hitting most of their shots, then it's obviously going to be devastating for the Union. I usually win Nico more in pubs than I do in events, playing as the CSA. I'm not exactly sure why that is.
I agree.
I think how easy it is to win on Nico depends on Artie, and I just think it's easier to play CSA Artie than Union Artie. When you got when Mathis Artie is on Union, it's tough as CSA.
Yeah.
Oh, Mattis from 42nd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a guy.
Yeah. When the Union has competent Artie and competent officers, it really makes a CSA struggle. But like everybody said, when you lose as CSA, you still have fun, and it's not necessarily like a big roll over one team over the other. It's usually pretty close. Union's constantly sending waves maybe across that field or through the woods. The CSA has that stone wall, which is a really good defendable position up in the corner where the woods meet, and then down at point you have that real big stone wall. But now there's destruction in the game. The Artie can get rid of that stone wall.
Yeah.
So you really got to make use of it while you can. By end game, there's probably not going to be a stone wall. So it either gets like line infantry heavy or just straight rush point everybody.
That's a very good point.
I'm just
going to go and give it my ranking. I think it's an A tier.
All right.
Well, I think we should probably try to pump the brakes on giving it. Well, I don't know. I'm torn on this map. I initially rated it an A tier, and when Gene was saying that I think everybody can agree that this is an A tier, I changed mine to an F tier just to spite him. But I don't think it's an F tier, obviously. I don't think it's an S tier. So this map is a Union 55% ticket advantage. And which, tends to play out about how that sounds, because I don't know why, but when I think of Nico Hill, I think of 1,000 USA losses to 600 CSA losses. That's just what I think of. And it is almost a 2-to-1 kill, depending on, what event you play and whether or not the Union can stay coordinated. The artillery is the best map for artillery in the entire game. Right. I mean, it's better than Pry Ford's artillery, and Pry Ford's artillery is cracked. So, I understand that, but from leading this as a Union player, your options and avenues of attack are extremely limited. You can push left through the woods and attack a stone wall against sharps and buckenball, or you can push right through an open field, getting blasted by arty the entire way to a fence, then run through an orchard, continuously getting blasted by artillery. And if the CSA can coordinate some sort of defense on that left side to meet the Union will lose 10 out of 10 times. And yet still, despite all of that, this map is won by both sides fairly regularly. I'd say it's definitely won more by Union, but leading this map as Union is not fun in my experience. It's not a D tier or a C tier. I would put it leading as a Union player on this map at a C tier. I put leading as a CSA player as a B tier because even if you don't win, because it is a 55% Union ticket advantage, and if the Union has really good arty and blast the shit out of that stone wall, and the Union can cap point and then have competent defenses of that point, it can get really bad for the CSA. I would put this map at a B tier. I do like this map a lot. I just think, well, I would put it at a B tier.
So, to add to your thoughts, I think this map is also more enjoyable with a lower pop than it is a higher pop.
Yes, 100% agree.
And I can see myself going down to an A tier, because I can definitely see that it is not enjoyable from a leading perspective for a Union side player. You are very limited on where you can go. But I feel like,
I think it's also like one of the most aesthetically looking maps.
yes,
One of the best looking maps in the game.
It is, for me, it feels like Union D-Day. That's what it feels like.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know why. Well, yeah, go ahead.
No, that's pretty much it.
Union D-Day.
It is. So I feel like we could all kind of agree. I can come down to an A. Wilkes, can you come up to an A?
Well, I don't think we're trying to have consensus, because there never will be fully consensus.
Oh no.
I would put B, but I mean, y'all all voted A, so I'm perfectly fine with it going up to A.
Exactly. The point of it is we all have our own personal ranking, and then we all, at the end of it, come to a consensus of where do we.
Sounds like we're an A then.
We're an A. All right. Moving that one up. All right, boys. Another very fun map, which
I'd like to lead this one.
I wanna start with Wilkes' opinion on this. Bloody Lane used to be known as Sunken Lane.
Sunken Road, Bloody Lane. I
Yep.
don't even know what the real name is in the game. It seems to change every other update. This is the first time that I'm going to give a map an S tier ranking. I think that this is, simply put, from the historical significance of this position, recreated in War of Rights, I think that you really get a good feeling for this map. And I think it's fun from both sides, because the Union can attack many different positions. They can go far right, the CSA's far left, far west, and push and conceal themselves on the backside of their defilade, moving left and right. They can push down their left, the CSA's right. That usually ends in a Union slaughter. But if the CSA team can mirror the Union left and right and match them, it does become a tooth and nail sort of affair. I think Bloody Lane might be the closest and most hotly contested map in the entire game. And I think that while, yes, I love this map from a CSA perspective more than a Union perspective, I mean, still, the CSA loses this map more than they win it. And I just think that all the factors combining, limited arty might, lower it for some people, but overall, I mean, and it's a Union 52% ticket advantage. So it is a biased ticket map. But from a gameplay perspective, I don't think it can be rivaled. Or, I mean, it can be by a few other maps that we'll get to in later videos. But, yeah, for me, and it is an S tier.
Okay. Grinch.
I'm going to give it an A tier, because the arty for the CSA is just not it. You can, as CSA, your spots, although you have to defend a certain amount, like a bunch of different attack points that the Union could come to, but they are also pretty easily defendable. The far right in the road coming down is usually a death trap for Union, but if they can get a foothold there and keep moving down the road, maybe even using the cornfield to their advantage, definitely can put a hurting on the CSA. But on the other hand, if the CSA are able to hold off all of their advances, they honestly could just shoot them down before they even get there. So, but
Solid
as CSA, it is personally one of my favorite maps in the game. As Union, it is still fun. Honestly, I think this is one of my preferred Union maps as well, because you can still win it. You can the open field fighting is super fun, but even though you got playing as Union, you got people dropping left and right,
And
you've got a shitty. Yeah. Union gets bucking ball? On which one?
69th New York Irish Brigade.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
They only get bucking ball, or they only get the 42.
Yeah, you're right. I forgot about that.
That's a media article, Grinch, so they better get the 42.
The CSA also gets access to bucking ball, which...
On one of their companies, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Texas.
But...
No, North Carolina. North Carolina, I think.
But an entire Union regiment of Union bucking ball is definitely scary. But I love this map. I'm gonna have to give it an A.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alex?
So I think a lot of things has already been said. The way I always remember this map is Vokes going, I told the whole team to go left. We gotta all go left. We can't split up. That's how this map tends to go as CSA, where either the whole team plays as one and we might win, which I mean we win this map, or one company decides to go right when we're all left, and then they get lunched.
Yep.
As the Union, I mean, to me, one of the best things about this map is the beginning of this map always goes the same. Okay, not always, but like 95% of the time. The CSA defends right, and the Union comes across the hill. And that moment, when it's quiet, and you know it's coming, and then they all just start running across the hill, and that charge like never works, but you have to do it.
For the culture.
Well, it's partially
the Irish culture.
It's partially because you do tend to completely destroy the forward Confederate regiment, and usually at least dent into them. And if the whole team isn't on the right, I mean they're dead. It's awesome. It's this. I wish it's. I mean, it's like something out of a movie.
Yeah.
As the Union, of course, this is Union D-Day, in my opinion, is Bloody Lane.
But it's fun D-Day.
It is fun D-Day, so I guess it's more like Juno Beach. So, I wish I could have. One day I'll lead this man. I'd almost put it at S tier.
Come on, do it.
I'll put it at S tier here.
Yeah.
The Union is fun enough. Now, obviously, CSA is more fun to play as Union on this map, but the Union is fun, and you can do some extreme flanks on this map. It is surprisingly wide for the kind of map it is, and you can do some crazy flanks as a CSA too. If the Union take point, you can go on the Roulette Lane Road and push down there. You can push extreme left.
Yeah, you can go all the way right up to the Union's home practically.
And it really shows how important boundaries are in this game, because when they set the boundaries well, which I think Bloody Lane has some of the best boundaries in the game.
Yes, 100%.
Because the Union can go into the corn.
Yeah.
I mean, if they couldn't go into the corn, I think this would be way worse for the Union.
Oh, yeah.
But they can, and it makes things so... Because the Union will push on the point, and then suddenly there's a whole, 40-second PA decided to run through the corn, and the unit that was defending the corn just gets completely obliterated. And now it's awesome. I love this map. I'm S tier, definitely. I talked myself into it.
Hell yeah.
So I'm gonna come from a different angle here. I'm also just saying it, I'm leaning towards an S tier as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But when it comes to the boundaries, while I think they're perfectly balanced in the map, I do not think maneuverability is as good as it can be on other maps. I think this is a very congested map. you can definitely do some interesting things. Like if the Union takes point, like Alex said, you can go down the roulette lane road and you can swing up on the hill and kind of come from the same angle the Union attacked the point from and hit them in the back. That's a very cool option. Other than that, sure, you can go CSA far left and swing up that way and come around. But there are several dead zones in the corn where if you try to push through it, you're dead.
Yeah, if I can interrupt you.
Yeah,
fast,
sure.
I think that this map, while maneuverability might not present as much of an option, which I do think maneuverability on this map is very high. Maybe not as high as some of the other ones like hookers, but this map comes down to timing and decision making as officers, because you have to make the decision. If you see 3 Union flags going left, you can almost assume that it's going to be a full Union push left, but there could also be a Union regiment that stays kind of behind to push the junction on the right of the map. And if you can be decisive and make those decisions in the moment, and if you can make them fast, timing plays the decisive factor in this.
I'd also like to add, I think the hill, the Union can mask their movements.
Yes.
Very well. I mean, it's basically the only way to certainly know what the Union does is you literally have to have someone walk up to the snake fence.
Yeah, like what I did at
Yeah.
What I think TSA.
Yeah.
But to one thing that to add to what I said, I think one thing that would make this map more interesting is to add more boundaries to the right space of the map. Make it so that the CSA and the Union can move more to the right side where the curve in the road happens. I think that would make it more interesting. However,
that's a very interesting attack point on framing fence lines.
Yes. However, I personally, if I were to go back, I feel like I still think Nico is a better map. But I can definitely see myself putting both Nico and Bloody Lane in S tier. And so I agree that Bloody Lane is definitely worthy of an S.
Huzzah!
You don't gotta ring it out of me. Send it up to S.
Yeah.
Okay, let's switch it on up. And here we go. Boop. Okay, we're almost towards the finish line. We have 2 more maps, and the one coming up, we've played quite a lot recently. Very excited to see what everybody thinks about this map. And we're going to start with Alex. It is Pry Ford.
Every time I play Pry Ford, I think I like it a little less.
That's funny.
100% can attest to that.
I'm the opposite.
I'll say it like this. It's more fun to play than it is to lead.
Yes.
And leading, as the Union, what the hell are you gonna? You push the rocks on the right, and then you try to shoot them down, and then they put 42nd PA in artillery, and they, which is, you know how they are. They just kill everyone. Literally, I led this map like 3
couple of weeks ago,
and literally my experience was I was dead half the time because we just kept getting flattened by artillery. And we didn't have any counter battery because the Union charged artillery. CSA charged artillery at the very beginning.
Yeah. Union playing as CSA.
Yeah. Now, this is one of the 3 flag maps I don't hate. Nico is the other one, of course. That comes top of the head. The Union 3 flags usually doesn't hurt him too bad. Partially because Cav is fun. I love playing Cav. We've played Cav. We've managed to nab Cav quite a bit on this map.
Well, at NA events, because NA pushes the numbers up to 25 per Cav or Sharps company.
Yeah, true.
You're welcome.
As CSA, Holcombs is fun. It's okay. I'd probably put this at a... I don't know. I feel like there's not much you can do with it. It's kind of a map where the meta feels pretty predefined. That's kind of you fight on the left. I've seen pushes on the other side, the RD side, happen, but they tend to be superfluous. Fighting on the point is not the great. The point is very, very open, and so it tends to be bloody. So I'd probably put this at a C. I'm not a huge fan of this map.
A low or a high C?
honestly, probably a low C.
All right. Grinch, what do you think?
Well, as a Union, I think it's fun. As a CSA, I also think it's fun. But my map knowledge on Pry Ford is not there because I barely play it. I've barely played it. Um, the point is pretty big, so you could there's some defilade you could set the CSA in that is still on point, and have superior firing positions over the Union, but the Union has the cav, and if the cav pulls its weight, Union will generally win this map.
Mm-hmm.
But just due to my inexperience with this map, I'm just want to give it a C.
All right. Wilkes?
I tend to like this map more than what has been, said by Alex and Grinch. I don't love this map, from either side actually. But I don't hate it. I think for me this map is a B tier. Like I think this is low end of B tier. Because as CSA, you are very limited to where you can push. Or where you can move, sorry. Maneuverability, while it is a massive map, it seems like maneuverability is low. There's like 3 avenues of attack that the Union comes down. They always push the CSA left and try to take the rocks on the left. They either push like down the middle ridge from like starting at the bushes by the road that the Union occupies, and then pushing straight down the ridge towards the CSA left side of point, USA right side of point. Or the Union does something like pretty rare, which is they mainly push on their left side, CSA right side. Now, I think that this is another map that gains a lot of points because of how good the artillery positions are. But again, I just feel like, and the fact that point is so big and it is so open, if the Union is getting massacred the entire map and they can cap point early, like while if they're just trying to stop the clock or they're trying to gain back some tickets, if they can hold on point and hold kind of behind the ridge of the point to some extent and push up when needed to contest it again, although CSA artillery will fuck them up with the 5-second flag spawn, it's almost impossible to push the Union off of Pry Ford's point. And other than that, I think it's a fine map. Sharps, boost up my opinion of it a lot. But yeah, I think it's a low end B tier for me.
So, what Wilkes just said there at the end, I totally agree with. Once the Union have settled in on point, unless you have the best arty there is on CSA, you're not going to push them off of that point. We saw that the other day.
They do have really good arty. They can just spawn people in so fast.
They can, yes. But it's also what we saw the other day on this map is you can't go in by yourself. You got to do a consolidated push. But even then, a consolidated push, it's only going to take you that far. It's really tough to get the Union off the point once they have it. But I don't think it's impossible. I think it's just hard.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I'm going to lean with Wilkes here. I think this map is probably, if I could replace let's have a muster pubby, I would say Pry Ford, in my opinion, is better than Eastwood's in that regard. It's just brainless fun. Because like what Alex said is like, there is not many options. A lot of the metas are predefined. People know how the map is played. And you don't have much options when you're leading. But I feel like that can also be relaxing. Like when I was leading the other day, I could just stand there and just kind of have a drink and just look at the battlefield. It's nice to have maps like that, in my opinion. where you don't have to think too much and you still have a lot of fun because it is a fun map at the end of the day. And I'm also going to say B tier on this. Low end of B tier.
So we have 2 low end Bs, a low end C, and a C. I think generally that would tend to be a C tier map, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, I'm fine with that too.
I think it definitely has its attributes, and I like leading it from both sides' perspective. But yeah, I think C tier is probably the best that it can.
High or low C tier? Or put it in the middle.
What are the other C tier?
Eastwood's Skirmish, high. Hooker's Push, low.
Wait, we put Hookers at low C tier?
We can get back to it, but for now, Pry Ford.
Middle.
Middle. All right. Moving on to the last map of tonight. A map that is despised by some, enjoyed by others. And
take this one away.
It is Pry Grist Mill. And I'm going to have... Who wants to start?
Me.
All right, let's go, Wilkes.
This is the map that was famously banned from most campaign events for almost 3 years, because it practically became kind of like a Call of Duty map with the fighting in the mill. I used to hate this map. I still have questions about some aspects of it, but I have, surprisingly, recently grown to actually like this map to a pretty high extent. I think that it depends on who you play with, obviously, but from a map perspective, there is a lot of maneuverability and options to go left or right. If you do, I don't recommend ever either side holding the mill. And if the Union does a full push for the mill, that's fine. Just pull back to, and just turn the map looking at the mill. They have to come out of it eventually to cap the point. But the Union pushes around far right. Their far right, CSA's far left of the map, crosses the river, gets into that little embankment over there. And it's a fun map to lead from the CSA perspective. It's a fun map to lead from the USA perspective. I know I had a lot of fun on it leading it this past weekend, as well as a puppy match tonight, which was actually really fun. So there is a little bit of recency bias. But I would say that Pry Grist Mill is a... Ooh. I came into my discussion with a lot of points about it. I think you get Holcombs and you get First Georgia, both of which are customizable from the CSA perspective. First Georgia gets Buck and Ball. I get my baby blue uniform as officer, which is pretty fire. And Union gets cavalry, and the
Holcombs,
ones.
Holcomb's corporals also get the sharps.
Exactly.
Actually, everyone gets sharps now. All the NCOs.
All the NCOs get the sharps now.
I didn't know
most
that.
recent update. Yeah. You get the option to take a sharps, with all the NCO slots as Holcombs. But the biggest detracting factor I have on this map is the Union. The point of contention is the CSA defense, and the point of contention, in the smack dab middle of the map, and it is equally on both the Union side of the river and the CSA side of the river. And if the Union plays it right, they can edge the cap to the point where the CSA has to go out onto the point, which, by the way, the Union side of the river has better cover than the CSA side of the river, at least around the point. And the Union can just shoot them down into last stand and then pick them off before even going into final push. This map usually does come down, like almost always comes down to last stand, final push, which I think is a good thing. But, I just don't like how the point is on both sides of the river. I think it should be almost entirely on the CSA, or maybe even move the point slightly back so that the Union can still cap, but they would have to be in the water of the river. I think that would be funny. But yeah, I mean, I would surprisingly put Pry Grist Mill at a B tier.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna enter here, and I'm gonna say, I think when we did the pre-rankings, I put this higher than anybody else because I actually enjoy playing this a lot as the CSA, and it's based primarily on the fact that there is so much variety on this map. There's the mill. There is you can go very far CSA right, like extremely far.
I think they widened the borders.
They did,
now.
and they also now allowed you to pass the river on multiple spaces.
I think that them adding the ability to
ford
wade
it, yeah,
in the water forward makes this map
so much better.
100%.
In the water. No, but so I think that's awesome. But here's the downer to that. It's the problem is
Speaking of autism.
Oh, god damn it. The downside to that is the fact that the point of contention is probably the stinkiest point of contention in the entirety of War Rights. It is the most godforsaken trash point ever. You can go on that far right as a CSA. They'll do you a lot of good. Not because at the end of the day, if the Union decides to cap on point, what are you going to do? You can't stay over there. You got to go and contest it. And like Wilkes said, they can stand on their side of the river and just put enough men on that side and you can do fuck all about it. It is honestly the worst point I've ever seen placed on a World Rights map. And as long as that doesn't change, as much as I enjoyed this map from both perspectives, playing it, leading it, which I also agree with Wilkes is like a B tier experience, that point drags this entire map down for me to like a high D tier. I probably put this as a B at a pre-ranking, but after thinking about it, that point really does bring the score down for me.
But for those of you listening who are like, man, they're just not having any F tiers. Trust me, Harper's Ferry exists.
Oh yeah, it's gonna come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's have
there's also
yep.
A map on Antietam that's gonna probably fall into F tier.
Yeah. Alex, what do you think?
What do you think, June?
What I think about Pry Grist?
Like D, you said?
I think high D, yeah. But okay. I'll be honest, if it weren't for the point of contention, I would also say B tier. Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's another one of those, everything that's been said needs to be said. The point, I agree with John, is so bad. Even with the ability to do a lot of that goofy stuff on the far right now, the Union right, Confederate left. It's just, there's not much you can do on this map. It's, you shoot out, and then the Confederates go into breaking, and then you have a big shootout brawl on point, and then final push, last stand, and that's it. This map gets, I actually really hate this map. I don't enjoy playing it. It just feels constrained, and it's kind of boring to me, as either side. But it does get points for having Union Cav. Sharps and pistols are fun. No matter how much I don't like the map, I do love playing sharps and pistols. It's just fun. And Buck and Ball, of course, in the CSA. So I agree with John. This is probably a D for me.
Grinch?
Well, now that all NCOs get Sharps rifles for Holcomb's Legion, that has shot my opinion to a B, because now you have, if you have, how many NCOs it slots per regiment? 5?
4. But 4? If you play in events that have unlimited class restrictions, which, by the way, I highly recommend everybody listening to do, you can, for TSA and HDC and War of Secession, all in A events, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, you have 8 maximum NCOs for Holcomb's Legion specifically, or for companies that have sharp NCOs.
Also blue and gray.
Oh, blue and gray Friday EU.
Yeah.
And HRE.
Sunday EU.
Basically every event we play except Grand Campaign.
Boo.
So that brings the amount of sharps that the Confederates can bring up, so they can compete with the Union Cav. So it is a battle that could go either way. Again, the attacks that the attacking routes that the Union can take are pretty limited, but once after the shootout brawl happens, I think the brawl on point is the funnest part about this map.
Oh, interesting.
Because like today, when we were playing in the pubby.
Well, yeah, but today they charged across the
right.
They
That
didn't
was stupid. They shouldn't have done that, and we wrecked them for it. But that was epic.
Yeah, last time we played this map in an event, what happened was we were the Cav, and we literally just sat there and shot them in the last stand.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I led that, didn't I?
Yes.
But when the Union puts up a good fight, this can go either way, and I think it's pretty fun. I want to say it's a B tier.
All right, so 2 Bs, 2 Ds.
Meet in the middle.
I do not think this map can go either way. I think this map is almost always Union dub.
Yeah, I actually agree. I think it's like a 99%.
Yeah, but even then, I've still started to like really enjoy leading it.
I'm with Wilkes.
It really comes down to timing on when you shift, and I think the decision making is vital.
I'm with Wilkes that I think the playing experience is still fun. I think the terrain is really fun. Like standing where the CSA has their side of the river uphill. I think it's such a great set piece. But like I said, it's the point that drags it down. I can see going up to a C, low C.
Actually, one other thought on how this map could be better. I actually think if the Union spawn was a little bit farther, because that's one of the issues right now with this map, is that you can shoot the Union in the final push, and they still have, if there's 3 minutes left, they still have like 2 charges.
Yeah.
Which is just way too, with how this map is, that's way too bad.
With pistols.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to get their
I think if the spawn was like 30
further away,
farther away,
yeah,
it would greatly improve this map.
Or just move the point of contention somewhere else.
Fuck it, put it in the mill.
No,
God, no. God, no.
Make it the true urban combat.
So for the last map, before we take a look at all the maps, what do you say, guys? C tier? C. All right. So we're gonna go into.
Well, we got to decide where to put hookers.
So I'm gonna put Pry Grist Mill, if y'all can agree on that, on a low C. So, what map do we not feel should be where it is?
Hooker's Push.
How about top of C?
No. Bottom of B tier is the lowest I will agree on.
And that's you, Wilkes. Grinch, what do you think?
Why don't you put a tier in between B and C tier and call it hooker tier?
No.
It's going to come down to you, Grinch.
High C.
And I can agree to that. Alex, can you agree to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think IC is about where this map is.
All right. High C it is. So, our only S tier, Bloody Lane. Our A tier, Nicodemus Hill. They're standing alone up there. And we got 3 B tiers, Hagerstown Turnpike taking the top spot, followed by Miller's Cornfield and Eastwoods. And C tier, Hooker's Push, Eastwood Skirmish, Pry Ford, and Pry Grist Mill. So far, nothing in D or F tier.
Oh, but they're coming.
They're coming.
They are coming.
Yep.
Real quick, can we rank these maps just real fast
Internally.
from a CSA perspective and a Union perspective?